The story begins with a woman stepping into an office building, instantly commanding attention. The entire room falls silent as people quickly pretend to be busy. Meanwhile, our main character, completely drained and struggling to focus, blames his exhaustion on his lack of sleep the night before. All he wants is to wrap up work early so he can catch the final episode of his favorite drama after lunch. As his boss approaches his desk, she calls out, "ᴄᴏᴘᴘύʀɪԼୖ." Startled, he jumps from his seat, his mind racing. Did she catch him dozing off? Is he about to get a lecture? Before he can fully process the situation, she firmly demands a moment of his time. Her piercing gaze follows him as he scrambles toward her, nervously asking what's wrong. Without missing a beat, she scolds him for daydreaming. This is Kamiju, the company's chairwoman, known as the absolute best in the business. She motions for him to step closer, and as he does, he can't help but take in the familiar details: her long hair, sharp eyes, and that small nose, just like when they were kids. But gone is the fresh-faced schoolgirl. Now, at 27, Nanaya Shimano stands before her as a professional, wondering if he's in trouble again. Instead of a scolding, she simply adjusts his tie, reminding him to keep himself presentable at work. With an air of authority, she informs him that he has a crucial meeting with an important client and that he should at least try to look the part. She chastises him for looking tired and unkempt, saying he's embarrassing himself as an employee. As she speaks, he catches the sweet scent of her perfume, and before he knows it, his mind drifts back to high school. Back then, she was the admired student council president, the one both boys and girls looked up to. He had always found her beautiful, but never had the courage to say it. Not that it mattered. She probably doesn't even remember they went to the same school. He snaps back to reality when he notices a faint blush on her face and absent-mindedly points it out, only to get scolded again. Brushing off the moment, she orders him to get ready for the meeting, stressing how important first impressions are. He rushes back to his desk, ready to prepare, only to realize he doesn't have the manual he needs. Panic sets in as he scrambles to find help. Later that evening, they find themselves outside on the street. The boss is completely drunk. She approaches him and insists on going to the next bar. He refuses, explaining that he has a lot of pending work. They have already been to 3 bars that day, but she continues to insist. Out of her senses, she behaves differently than usual, and he cannot help but think that she looks cute when drunk. She came to help him with the meeting, and as a token of gratitude, Shimano invited her to a drink. She keeps pressing him to go, but he reminds her that her house is nearby and suggests that they go home instead, knowing he has his limits. At his words, she suddenly appears shocked and demands to know how he knows where she lives. She accuses him of stalking her, but he calmly reminds her that she had told him her address herself. He expresses his reluctance to get scolded by her the next morning when she is sober and insists on taking her home. She finally agrees, and they start walking. She unexpectedly asks if he talks to other girls like this. He replies that not many people even know him, and that he is not a popular guy. She hits back, saying he's a big hit in the office. But he shrugs it off, claiming that if his fan base consists solely of married women who view him as a baby-faced cutie, then he's anything but popular. She clarifies that she is not referring to that. Suddenly she stops and leads his hand, asking if he thinks he is unpopular. He then shares that whenever he does something good in the office, instead of receiving praise, people simply say they already expected it from him. He mentions that she, on the other hand, is admired by everyone in the office. However, she ignores his words and states that she does not care. She then holds his collar and repeats that she does not care about any of them. Sensing that he may have spoken out of turn, he apologizes for interfering too much. Without warning, she suddenly asks if he has ever had a love affair. He immediately denies it and only admits to admiring someone in high school. At this, she becomes irritated, pointing out that he has already told her this story many times before. She demands to hear something new. Confused by her reaction, he simply apologizes. She then states that she is feeling unwell. Sitting down as if she is about to throw up, she and Shimano quickly head toward a nearby temple. She settles on a chair while he gives her some water. As she calms down, she thanks him. Looking around, she suddenly asks if they are in a love hotel. He corrects her, explaining that it is a temple. She appears surprised and admits that she did not realize such an old building was a temple. She then suggests going inside to pay respects. He refuses, stating that he does not want anything right now, but she tells him to be quick. Looking at her, Shimano wishes he could turn back time and become a man worthy of her. Tujo gently asks if he's finished praying. He nods with a blushed face, and they head home. The next morning, his alarm wakes him. He turns it off, his head heavy from last night's drinks, but he forces himself up. He can't be late. He checks his phone and is surprised to see his old flip phone. He looks around, confused by his surroundings, and is shocked to find himself in his parents' house. At first, he thinks he walked there because he was drunk, but then he remembers that his parents' house is far away and he must have taken a cab. He wonders how much he might have paid for the ride. His thoughts are a mess, and he cannot understand what has happened. His company's address is not on his phone. He holds his head, trying to figure out the situation. The sight of the old phone brings back childhood memories. He looks in the mirror, and his face seems unfamiliar. He yells in shock, unable to believe what he is seeing. He wonders if this is because of the alcohol or if his vision is playing tricks on him. Then he realizes he has become young again and is now a high school student. He quickly packs his bag to go to school. Glancing at the calendar, he sees the date from 11 years ago. He steps into the kitchen and sees his mother making breakfast for him. She looks so young. At that moment, he understands he has traveled back in time. This is a time leap. He walks to school, observing the students around him, and realizes he is in the spring of his first year in high school. He feels excitement rush through him, knowing he does not have to go to work anymore. Now he only needs to attend classes and go home. He enters first year class 7, but he cannot remember where his seat is, so he just picks a spot. A boy approaches him, calls him Nanachi, and tells him to come with him. He is unsure at first and asks if his name is Onikichi. The boy laughs and mentions his nickname Oni-chan. He was popular in high school and later moved to Tokyo to become a host. They have remained friends even after growing up. Nanachi admits he forgot where he used to sit. Blame me on a sleepless night. Onikichi pats his forehead, calming him down. Onikichi jokes with him, addressing him Hiwago, a nickname that always embarrasses him. Before he can react, a girl suddenly hugs him from behind. He turns around and sees his childhood friend, now Nakatsugawa. After graduating, she became a backpacker, traveling around the world, and he never knew where to find her. Now they talk casually, catching up as if no time has passed. When class is about to start, they take their seats. Nanachi enjoys their company and feels the classroom is lively because of them. As he sits there, playing with his pencil, he thinks about how strange it is to be in class again. He never imagined getting a second chance in high school, and now he sees this as an opportunity. He decides to ask her for a date. In real life, where he works as her employee, it would be impossible, but here they are, just students. He is absorbed in his delusion of asking her out. Determined to change his fate, he gathers his courage and goes to her classroom. 2 seniors open the door, and he nervously asks for Tuka, barely managing to repeat her name. As she approaches, he's reminded of the overwhelming aura she carries. Meanwhile, her friend smirks and teases him, saying that if he's here to ask her out, he should give up now. Flustered, he quickly denies it, though the thought had crossed his mind. When Tuka finally reaches the door and asks why he's there, he steels himself, determined not to back down. Pushing aside his nerves, he introduces himself as Nani Shimano and asks Tuka Sunpei to be his friend. Her friends are stunned at his words, finding it odd and childish. They burst into laughter, calling him an elementary school kid. He does not let it affect him. He knows this is his moment to change his destiny. Tuka tells them to stop making fun of him. She thanked him for his presence while apologizing for any discomfort caused. With a serious gaze, she questions his desire to be friends, to which he eagerly nods. With a bright smile, she suggests they head home together to celebrate their friendship, leaving him bewildered. It's like something out of a fairy tale. The entire class stares in astonishment at the surprising turn of events. She holds his arm, and they start heading home. Everyone around them seems to think they're doing something they shouldn't. She asks him what type of girls he likes and other personal questions. He is stunned by how casual she is with him. She is the most beautiful girl in the school and wonders how walking home with her feels like a dream. She apologizes again for the behavior of her classmates. He reassures her that he is fine and has nothing to worry about. He accidentally calls her Kacho instead of Kimicho, catching her off guard. Noticing her surprise, he smiles and brushes it off as a slip of the tongue. Admitting his nervousness, he fumbles with his words, and she playfully remarks that his way of speaking might just make her blush. He thinks she's being unusually affectionate and has never seen her like this before. She isn't even drunk. He wants to go back to the present and watch the Love Advisor instructional video because of how affectionate she's being. She then asks him if he enjoys spending time with her. He laughs and says he's excited even to skip across the yard. She laughs and praises him, calling him unique. He gets nervous, feeling like he's acting weird around her. She smiles at his action and calls him unique. He realizes that he's always seen her in a tense office atmosphere. But now seeing her like this makes him nervous. He asks her to stop hugging him since they're at school, worried that others might think they're in a relationship. Her face gets flushed and she agrees, apologizing for her behavior. He's concerned that such a popular girl is being so clingy with him. He wonders if she's being considerate because her friends bullied him. If this isn't the case then, it would be weird. He's glad at this opportunity to talk to her as he recalls they've worked together for 5 years and it took a long time for them to start hanging out, but this is overwhelming. He's glad for the time leap though. They finally reach home. She thanks him for walking her and he thanks her back for the conversation. She asks him to call her by her first name now that they're friends. He reasons that she's her senpai. She agrees with a pout and he finds her cute. He asks why she agreed to be friends, even though he's just a kuhai. She smirks and turns the question back to him, causing him to be irritated. She then mentions something about being okay back there, and then bids goodbye before entering her house. He feels confused about the situation, wondering if she's only willing to be in a relationship. He starts questioning if he still has a chance. He heads home, and seeing his sister, recalls that Kofyu is just a middle schooler at this time before she gets recruited by a modeling agency. She's close to him and often waits for him to come home. He goes to his room and lies on his bed, reflecting on the day. He is confused about what caused the time leap. His memories feel mixed up, and he realizes his friends and family are acting differently than he remembers. He calls this the butterfly effect, where a small change now could have drastic consequences later. If he shows a little courage with Tuka, it could change their future relationship, but he knows he has to be careful, as society is not always kind. He braces himself for what's to come. As he leaped 11 years into the past, he reflects on his life, realizing his only regret was never expressing his feelings to Tuka Kamiju. Determined to change that, he decides to start as an acquaintance. He envisions the perfect moment, having lunch with her on the rooftop. However, standing outside her classroom, his nerves get the best of him. The memory of the previous day creeps in, making him assume he'll be nothing more than a laughingstock. A quote comes to mind, something he heard in the live distributor. During recess, he sits alone at a table, eating his lunch and praising the food. He enjoys it, noting how he never realized the school zuden was so good. Tuko approaches and asks if she can sit with him. She wonders if he's a freshman. He confirms, then asks why she chose to sit there, given the empty seats in the cafeteria. She says she came because he was alone and wanted to talk. She then asks if he dislikes being around him when he's sad. He says he doesn't, he enjoys it. She smiles and teases that if he keeps being this cute, she might end up in Kintopia. He laughs, explaining that he simply wants to get to know her better without being a bother. She assures him she would love to have lunch with him. He thanks her, feeling grateful. He remembers the times at the office when she was always angry when he made mistakes, and now seeing her as an angel. It's so different. He asks her to start eating. Tuka pours a mountain of spice on her noodles. He hesitates, warning that it's too much. But she casually offers him some. He declines, pointing out that it's all red. He asks her about the student council elections, but she reveals she won't participate. He thinks that if things go as he hopes, he'll support her. He wonders why she's not running, and in turn, she questions why he assumed she would. She explains she just wants to enjoy her youth, while student council duties require too much effort and dedication. He recalls that in his past life, she did run for president and won, but now things are different. And he wonders if his actions have changed the course of history. He feels responsible for the shift in her mindset and believes she's the best person to unify others. It would be a waste if she doesn't run, so he tries hard to convince her. She asks why he's so serious about it. He accidentally mispronounces her name, brushing it off with a nervous laugh, saying Kamiju and Kacho sound similar. Instead of reacting, she changed the subject, asking about the inventory list she requested last week. He quickly replies that he finished it on Friday and will upload it to the company folder. Before he can say anything else, she suddenly grabs his shoulder, her grip firm. She looks him in the eyes and asks if he's Shimano from the sales department. A chill runs down his spine. The realization hits. He's not the only one whose time leaped. Her expression shifts from shock to panic. Without warning, she pushes him away, her voice rising as she yells, drawing the attention of everyone nearby. Then, before he can process what's happening, she turns on her heel and bolts. He calls after her, reaching out instinctively. But she doesn't stop. She doesn't even look back. Later in the evening, they sit together on a bench in the garden. She mentions that she's tired and apologizes for not fully understanding what he said earlier. She asks for proof of his claims. He tells her there's no other student who would use those words except her. She tells him to shut up and warns him to watch his tone when talking to the boss. He reminds her that she told him to go easy on her. She clarifies that she was speaking to ᴄᴏᴘύʀɪლიᴛ, not Shimano, and that she used to call him ᴄᴏᴘύʀɪν. After the confrontation, she's convinced they're both in a time leap. She asks how long he's been in the past, and he admits since yesterday morning. She blushes, and her demeanor changes as she starts acting like the boss again. He asks where the act from yesterday went. She responds that he shouldn't ask someone directly, adding that there's a right time and place for everything. She stood up, asking why he came to her class, and asked to be friends. She wonders what he's scheming. He clenches his fists and confesses his secret admiration for her. To his surprise, she admits to finding him cute as a student, but clarifies that she would never want to disappoint a 16-year-old boy. He finally understands why she's been so kind to him all this time. She playfully tells him that no regular Shimano-kun could ever make her blush. He compliments her as a cute and kind boss, but quickly backtracks to assure her he doesn't fear ordinary bosses either. He praises her unique leadership style, and she softens a bit, but he starts to feel a disconnect between them. She reassures him that he can relax around her, then abruptly announces she needs time to think and leaves him hanging. He thanks her, but she dismisses it, reminding him that this is school, not work. Shermona realizes that his second chance at youth is already going up in flames. She then calls him to join her immediately, leaving him wondering where this roller coaster ride will take him next. She apologizes to him for calling him over, then shocks him by asking if he wants to hang out. She suggests they meet up after school in the classroom, and he feels happy at the cute request. He reflects that it's something that often happens in dating shows, and it wasn't a confession. Later, at the cafe, she's pleased to spend time like high schoolers, having tea after school. He hesitates, pointing out that coffee costs 1,000 yen, but she insists it's delicious. He refuses to fall for her teasing, and then asks how she can afford it. She reveals her older brother is an entrepreneur who spoils her. She'll pay him back when she grows up, and Shimano-kun expresses admiration for her brother's success. She dismisses it, adding that he plays around too. He agrees, admitting he enjoys video games, watching anime, and hanging out with friends. She then asks if she can order a cake, specifically mentioning the cheesecake and superb coffee. He laughs, saying he prefers canned coffee that makes him feel ready for work. As they recall the time they visited this area before, he remembers how they couldn't find anything and mentions that the place seemed like a horror movie. She insists the building is a sign of paranormal activity and that the shrine is the only chance they have to return to their current time. If they can't find it, they don't know when it will appear again. He points out that if the shrine doesn't exist, they're left without leads on how to return. He admits it's a good thing they get a second chance at youth. She asks if he wants to stay, and he responds that neither option seems bad. She stresses about leaving work to go back, fearing for her company's well-being under someone else's management. Despite his attempt to ease the tension by discussing work, his choice of words makes her see red. He clumsily changes the subject, hinting at a question. Her face lights up with hope, wondering if it's about her birthday or shared interests like yoga or the gym. He quickly shuts down these guesses, annoying her once more. She points out that since they are in the past, this present moment feels strangely unfamiliar. He tells her she was supposed to be student council president, but now things are changing. She asks why he's so insistent on getting her into the student council, pointing out she already explained why she didn't want to participate. She replies it would be bad for her if she doesn't change. Their conversation is interrupted when now his childhood friend approaches. She asks why he's here and Tuka, jealous, remarks that they seem close. He denies it, trying to stop her from misinterpreting the situation. Now recognizes her as Kamiju-senpai, calling her a celebrity. Both girls exchange pleasantries. Now inquires if Tuka plans to run for student council, and she answers that she won't. Now reveals she's running, and Tuka wishes her luck. Shimano recalls how now lost, and asks why she wants to be president. She jokingly replies it's to get free food from the cafeteria, and asks him to be her cheerleader. He refuses, but she insists, making jokes until he agrees to stop her. She hugs him tightly before leaving. He tells her to explain to Kamiju that she was only joking. Tuka responds that she'll also be Nao's cheerleader, and she happily agrees, saying with Tuka's support she'll win. Shermona begins promoting Nao as a candidate, realizing she's a serious one. Despite her claim about wanting free food, he believes she has other plans she hasn't shared. Soon, Tuka returns with cold drinks for him, telling him to take a break. They sit on a bench and talk. Shimama says being a high schooler feels immature compared to being an adult. Tuka admits she always thought upperclassmen were more mature, and he confesses he thought the same about her, whether as a boss or an adult. She asks if she looks old, but he reassures her, saying her emotional maturity is what he finds beautiful. She teases that flattery won't get him promoted. He asks if their chief, Nagakawa, is her type, but she quickly denies it, apologizing if she upset him. He admits he's not angry, just a little jealous. Standing up, he suggests they check on Nao since she's been in the bathroom for a while. As they walk to the hallway, they find a crowd gathered. Nao and a boy from a class are standing close together talking. The boy, Tatsuki, asks her to go to karaoke. But she refuses, saying she has important work to do. It seems he's trying to convince her. The students around them start whispering, considering calling a teacher. Shermona recognizes Tatsuki as a third-year student and a brat. Tatsuki, whose parents are in the city council, tries to manipulate votes in Nao's favor, claiming nothing will happen to him, even if someone finds out. Nao refuses, confused by his offer. Tuka overhears the conversation and shouts at him. Shimano calms her down just as a teacher arrives and orders everyone to be quiet. Tatsuki leaves, but not before pushing Nao, causing her to collapse. Shimano rushes to her side, and she reassures him she's fine, though everyone around starts whispering about them. Nao, embarrassed, says she feels silly for falling like that. Tuka calls Tatsuki back and demands that he apologize to Nao. Her anger is evident, and Shimano immediately senses that something unprecedented is unfolding. He gets nervous, feeling a shift from the usual course of events. Tatsuki mutters a cold and different apology. Everyone around tries to calm her down, including the teacher and Nao herself. Tuka, however, stands firm, insisting that an apology is needed, no matter who Tatsuki's family is. He responds that he apologized just now, but Tuka argues that a half-hearted apology is meaningless. She insists he apologized directly to Nao-chan. After a second, more sincere apology, Nao says that's enough, and the tension begins to ease. The teacher scolds them, telling Shimano and the others to leave if they have nothing else to do. Once the teacher walks away, Tuka grumbles about his behavior. She notes that he's been teaching for 3 years, yet he's younger than her, clearly irritated by both his actions and the teacher's indifference. Now calm, says goodbye and heads off to her part-time job. Tuka, still concerned, warns her to be careful since she'll be out late, but Nao mentions that someone will pick her up. Nao thanks her and Nanaya before leaving. Afterward, Tuka grabs Shimano's arm and asks if he wants to walk home with her. She holds his arm tightly, and he feels a bit uncomfortable. Confusion rises as he wonders if she's flirting with him, unsure whether he should reciprocate or just play along. He worries that if he flirts back, she might just brush it off and call him like a little brother. He replies after pondering a bit, but gets teased in return. He decides to bring up something that's been bothering him. He states that he's actually angry about something, which is why he pushed her back then. He warns her that Tatsuki may hold on to that grudge and seek revenge. Tuka, however, dismisses the idea, stating that she doesn't care about people like him and will never forgive him for hurting Nao. Shimano expresses concern for her safety, recalling a time when he was also pushed by Tatsuki. He remembers rushing to help her, only to fall himself, with teachers and students rushing to assist. Tuka had asked if he was hurt, though she didn't know him at the time. The health committee had to escort her to the infirmary. While he was the boy that crushed beneath her, Shimano mentions that she has a reckless side to her. This makes her uneasy, and she quickly bids him goodbye. As she walks away, Shimano wonders if she remembers they went to the same school and how he once helped her. She suddenly stops, turning back to ask if he would save her again, just like before. Before he can fully process her words, she hurries off, mentioning her house is nearby. Left standing there, he mulls over the situation, trying to figure out how to get closer to her. Later, he spots his friend Anikichi, who asks where he's headed. Shimano tells him he's going to the canteen for some udon. Anikichi suggests getting takeout to eat in the classroom, but Shimano declines. Just then, an announcement rings out, announcing that the student council president candidates will introduce themselves. Now is the first to speak. She briefly introduces herself, saying that she plans to buy a cow and run a dairy farm before asking everyone to vote for her. Anikichi laughs at her quirky introduction. Shimano defends her, explaining that she's probably overwhelmed with preparations and balancing her part-time job while campaigning. Shimano heads toward the canteen, reflecting on how Tatsuki is no longer a threat to Nao. Still, something feels off about Ma'am. An uneasy feeling lingers, urging him to protect her from whatever comes next. Suddenly, a commotion nearby catches his attention. As he rushes over, he's shocked to find his sister standing there with two other girls.